Assalamualaikum, and a very good day and night, whichever time zone you are in. I'm Sirhajwan Idek. I'm an English language teacher at Keningau Vocational College, Sabah, and I'm also the head of research and innovation at this school. So I've been invited to talk about what I do with our students here, with what we do at this school that is related to TVET, technical and vocational education and training. So the title that I pick is Empowering TVET Students with Opportunities Through Research, Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Now our students, our TVET students, they have excellent skills, they have amazing ideas, they can do a lot of things. So they need platforms for them to be able to develop their ideas, for them to be able to present and pitch their projects, and for them to go far. So I propose in my talk 3 platforms. These 3 platforms are research or conference or research conference, innovation contests and entrepreneurship programs. So our students, they have ideas. So that's where I propose for them to be provided with 3 platforms. And these 3 platforms, they are quite different, but they are very related. And that is research and conference, innovation and entrepreneurship. So whenever our students have ideas, especially our TVET students, they can go for research and present their research at conferences. They can go for innovation contests or innovation exhibitions or any programs related to innovations. And they can go for entrepreneurship too, such as entrepreneurship competitions, pitching contests, or even workshops or seminars. So how did I start? I started with English language activities. Now, I'm an English language teacher, obviously. So when I first started teaching in 2012, I first started with debate in public speaking, because that's what every English language teachers usually do. They train their students for debate and public speaking. And then in 2013, we finally won our VocTech English language debate. Now, there used to be a carnival for English language debate among vocational colleges, or back then known as vocational schools. And then we won it for the first time ever in 2013, and we finished second the year before in 2012. So that's where I decided to venture more into English language activities, usually debate, public speaking, or other things like poetry. And in 2013, the vocational schools, they became vocational colleges. So we knew that we had to adapt. Things have changed slightly, so we decided that we needed to adapt. In 2015, I decided to try an innovation contest, because I thought, since I'm an English language teacher, I train my students for public speaking, and I think innovation contests have some similarities with public speaking, in a way that the students, they need to pitch and present their ideas convincingly, and sometimes they have to do it in English language. In 2015, we went for our first innovation contest. So in 2016, we decided to try joining more competitions in Sabah, and then we also went to West Malaysia. And then I thought, since when the students, they have ideas, they came up with innovations, they might want to consider making money out of it. So we are talking about entrepreneurship and commercialization. So that's the year where we felt like we should try joining entrepreneurship competitions too, where the students, so innovation contests and entrepreneurship competitions are very similar, but they have slightly different objectives or purposes. So in this slideshow, you can see Syndex. So Syndex is innovation contest, and Pitch Borneo, the other one that I put in the slide, that's an entrepreneurship contest, and these two are famous, quite popular in Sabah. In 2017 alone, we won 2 innovation contests. The first one was AHIN, it stands for Anugerah Harta Intelek, and then the other one is Syntax. And then we won both of them with different projects, students from different programs. For AHIN, our students of construction technology won first place, and our students of welding technology got second place. And then for Syntax, our students from machinery industry, or back then known as MPI, I think, he won first place. So I thought, well, it's a good year. We did well. So in 2018, we felt that it's about time for us to try joining competitions outside Malaysia. Now, I've seen many schools, including vocational colleges, joining a lot of competitions outside Malaysia. So I thought that maybe it's time for our college to try doing the same thing. And in 2018, 6 of us, we went to South Korea. It was our first time. It was our first competition outside Malaysia, and then we won 4 gold medals. And of that team, we were made of 4 units of programs. There were teachers and students from English language unit, from construction technology, from culinary arts programs, as well as machinery industry. So it's about teamwork too. It's about working to different programs, different units working together. So that's 2018. And in 2018 too, 2 of our students from early childhood education, they presented at a conference in Kota Kinabalu, in KK. So they were the first students from our college who presented their work at a research conference. I think before that we never really did it, and I thought that since our students were already doing innovation and entrepreneurship, so research is something that is related to these two. When you want to come up with an innovation, or when you want to become an entrepreneur, obviously you do need to do research. And then if you want to pursue academic studies, you definitely need to consider research. And I thought that if they have ideas, they can go for innovation, they can go for entrepreneurship, and they definitely can go for research conference. We push harder. That's the year when we met the highest number of international trips. As you can see here, my students and our colleagues were on the newspapers for their achievements overseas. For innovation contests, we went to, I think, Japan, South Korea, Australia, Taiwan, Thailand, and Singapore. And then for research conference, we visited several Southeast Asian nations, and those are Brunei, Singapore, and Indonesia. So that was the year where we really we really traveled a lot last year. That was before the pandemic. But although we seem to focus too much on international competitions, the thing is, we actually take part in local programs or events or conferences or competitions a lot more, and we never abandon the local ones. Okay, that's very important. As you can see in this picture, that's a group of my students. There were 33 students from 9 programs that took part in the innovation contest in KK last year, and then the picture next to it shows a group of my students who were presenters at a conference in Kota Kinabalu. So it's 2020. We decided to go virtual for obvious reasons. First of all, the pandemic hit. So when the pandemic hit, COVID-19 hit, we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't travel. So we thought that we needed to figure something out. We needed to adapt. So, and of course, going online is the only way. So we decided to do. We focus more on online conferences. We tried to get students from different programs because we have lots of programs. So we wanted students from each program to actually have the opportunities to take part in online programs. So far as I speak, we had students presented their work at conferences, at online conferences based in Germany, France, Netherlands, Hungary, and as well as Indonesia. So as you can see here, these pictures, these 2 pictures were my students. They were on the newspapers for presenting papers, their work, their PTA, final year project, at conferences, online conferences. And then the other pictures show a student of mine. She's presenting online, so that's how it usually look like. We use Zoom. Usually the virtual conference will took place in Zoom platform. So one of the reasons why I wanted our students to take part in conferences and present their projects at conferences is because I wanted them to actually also publish their papers related to their projects in journals. So I think that's very important, and that's very essential for vocational colleges because we are looking for accreditation, and when when people who are looking for accreditations, they definitely need to consider academic publication of their projects. Okay, as you can see here, I've shown two samples of the academic papers of my students that have been published in journals. So one of the questions that I was given to answer, to address in my talk was actually how did I approach the students, or how did I find the opportunity for the students? Well, it's just that I usually search for the opportunities consistently. Usually through internet, you can get a lot of things through internet, whether they are international ones or whether they are local ones, and then we usually identify our students with talents, skills, or passion, either directly, like me, I recruited students from the class that I taught myself, and also through the recommendation of our colleagues, of other teachers, as well as the students. And obviously we always meet and talk to these students personally, explain it to them what we want them to do, and then once they respond yes, usually they will be giving good responses because they are being given opportunities. So I'll do what's necessary, and then once our participation is confirmed and accepted, we will proceed with preparation and practice. So if, say, it's an innovation contest, they need to focus on developing their products, they need to focus on doing the slideshow or exhibition materials, they need to practice presenting their work, sometimes in English if it's an international one, and they also need to practice answering questions. So all those sort of things that we consider as the routine that we usually will have to do for every competition or conference. And then of course to get the management duties done, all the paperwork that need to be done. So that's the simple method or approach that we usually use. And then how do we convince the students? So usually what we meet the students, we talk to them, we explain to them the mission, I like to call it the mission of what they need to do, of what they should do, of what they can do, and then we assure them that we will always be there for them, because sometimes the students, they feel nervous. We ask them to present at online conferences, something that most people haven't done before, and something that is not really familiar to most people, and then they are doing it. So we assure them that they can do it, that we will be there for them because we will guide them along the way. And then we also get teachers that recognize them to assist them, so that will help them feel comfortable, and it will make them feel like they are being acknowledged. Because if say that like I'm an English language teacher, so if I approach students who are from welding technology, so I definitely will get their teachers, the welding technology teachers, to be involved, to support these students. So that will help them feel better, and that will make the process more successful. Take seriously what they say or do. If they say they need more time, if they say they are nervous, if they say they cannot do it, if they say they need more time, so we just we take seriously and listen to them, of their concern, of what they feel. I think that's very important, acknowledging the students' feelings and thoughts, and then we give them room and space to think, to decide on their own. For them to prepare to all these sort of things, for them to decide whether they would like to take part or not. And then whatever that they decide to do, we shouldn't be judgmental or critical of their actions, because sometimes we have experience before where the students, they wanted to try innovations, and along the way they wanted to quit, they said they couldn't do it, maybe they felt stressed. So let's not judge them or criticize them for their actions. But then we always need to stay optimistic, and personally, based on my experience, we did have students who felt reluctant, who decided to maybe quit, to take a break, or maybe they said they couldn't do it. They felt sorry, but then after some time they gained confidence, and they felt like they could do it. So I felt like as long as we stay optimistic and positive, the students will definitely respond positively, because optimism spreads. Right? I put it there. And let the students develop ownership of their work. And usually we focus on the students' final year project. For vocational colleges, I'm sure the word PTA is very familiar to the students, to the teachers. So they have their PTA, let's focus on that, because it's their work, they decide on it, they have ideas, on it, so we let them take charge of it, and we as teachers, we just guide them along the way. And of course, we need to create teamwork. Teamwork is very important. It's about everybody working together, because it's very different doing things alone. It can be scary, it can be nerve-wracking, but when you do it as a team, it's more exciting and motivating. So I think one of the questions that I received was, how did I find all these opportunities? So again, I Google things a lot, and I search for keywords, any competitions, conferences, students contests, and one thing lead to another. Usually, you will get, you will be added on WhatsApp groups, and people who are in charge of the WhatsApp group will always notify every member on any updates of any event, competition, or conferences, or any other programs. Or you will get email if you subscribe emails of any particular website that you discover. So you definitely will get notifications every time they have updates. And of course, to constantly just Google on the internet. I mean, you know very well there are already few events, online events or physical events that are happening every year. So you just have to keep reminding yourself to just keep searching for it every year, wherever the websites are being updated. And then you need to obviously stay consistent and keep searching. That's the only way. And the internet is very powerful, so that's where I get everything. Managing time. I think one of the questions that I received was that, how did I manage time, juggle with all this work with the innovation contest and then with the teaching. So I guess I'm lucky, because usually for vocational colleges we have probably less teaching hours for the English language teachers, much lesser than the mainstream schools, and then we also have timetables that are more flexible, because our students and teachers, they are here according to their office hours. For us it's 7:30 to 4:30. So basically, because of that, we are able to dedicate more time on doing other duties like organizing programs and events for the students. And I learned to narrow my focus. I think like last year I focused more, I think 2 years ago I really focused on innovation contests, and then last year I decided to give more emphasis on conferences. And then this year alone, we focus less on innovation contests, and we focus more on getting our students to present their work at conferences. So less innovation, more research. So it's something like I learned to switch my focus each year, and then so I can narrow my focus in every single year. And then other than this TVET activities, we also have other programs like STEM programs that we can focus on. So it's about switching your focus each year. I have a great team who supports and understands me very well, so it's very important to work as a team where everybody supports each other. Even when I'm doing this webinar, my colleagues are helping me, and then when my colleagues need help, and I help them in return. So it's about having that supportive environment. And usually when I do my work, I tend to focus on duties that require critical thinking skills in the morning, because that's where your minds are clearer, you can focus very well. And then I usually will dedicate my afternoon time or even night time on doing work that tend to be repetitive or technical, like paperwork, some clerical jobs. So it's much easier. And obviously I just love what I do. When you love what you do, you don't feel like working, you don't feel like you're being stressed, because it's more like hobby, like you're doing what you're passionate about. Now, presented at conferences in other countries, what we do is that we don't just focus on competitions, and I know that people keep talking about competitions, keep asking about competitions, but it's not our sole focus. Not everything has to be competition, not that every time we do something we need to win because it's a competition. So there are lots of other platforms. For example, conferences. Now, conferences, they are not competitions, but they are very good for our students, they are very good for teachers. They are also considered great achievements. So that's why I included in my presentation conferences. So we have taken part in many conferences organized by Eurasia Research. As you can see on the slide, we presented in Thailand and Singapore before. Those are physical events, and then we presented online at conferences held in Europe. But those are online conferences. And we also have the other one, SCPI, so that's another conference. But so far for SCPI, we never had any students who presented at that conferences, only teachers. And most of the time they organize conferences in Europe. Other than that, I would like to recommend senior conferences or senior events. Now, senior is an ASEAN-based organization. It has full name, but usually senior, especially the one that is based in Indonesia, they organize lots of conferences where these conferences are often free of charge, or if you have to travel, they cover your travel expenses, and sometimes they provide scholarship or grants. So you definitely need to look at this one. We do have some students and teachers who are going to present at these conferences soon. So, and this year they are doing it virtual. Obviously everybody is doing it online this year. So most of the innovation contests, the international innovation contests, they are being organized or co-organized by lots of associations. Usually they are linked with WIIPA, World Invention Intellectual Property Associations. We have them in Asia, we have them in Europe, we have them in the US, and we have them in Malaysia too. Okay, so we took part in some of the events or competitions that they organize. So for this one in Malaysia, we do have certain associations that are in charge of this. So you just have to get yourself connected with them. So I'm going to show you some of the examples of my students' projects. So what I'm showing to you here is that it's a project, it's called Shelf. It's a project by one of our students, Fairuz Izwan. He's from electrical technology. So he went to Australia for this project. He was the only Malaysian finalist in that competition, and he won several gold medals and prizes in Sabah. So as you can see here, the poster, this is a poster innovation. It's designed by my fellow colleague, Mr. Khalifa. And this is how it looks like. This is how we usually do our poster, or innovation or research poster. As you can see here, there are some descriptions, subheadings, pictures, title, okay, introduction, problem statement. So usually problem statement is one of the most important things that we emphasize in every poster. Okay, so he's from electrical technology. The next one that I'm going to show you is a research poster. So we talk about poster, there's an innovation poster. So innovation poster look like the one that I've shown you before. So this one that we are looking at, this is a research poster. So it looks a bit different than innovation poster. This project belongs to one of our students, Charles Ritchie. He's from automotive technology. He presented his project at a conference in Brunei, and this is the poster that he used. So as you can see, the poster, it's a bit different. Usually for research poster, it has more details than innovation poster. It definitely has findings too. Okay, and then he presented it at a conference in Brunei, and he also, this innovation won a medal at an innovation contest in Thailand. So you definitely, whenever the students have ideas, they can go for conferences, and then they can also go for innovation contests, as what Charles Ritchie had done. So the next poster that I'm going to show you is also, it's a conference poster. Okay, it's presented by one of our students, Nadira Hazwa, who created this teaching aid as her final year project. It's called Dry and Sky Chart. So she presented it at a conference in Kota Kinabalu, and this is how her poster looked like. Okay, again, this was designed by my colleague, Mr. Khalifa, who is recording my webinar now. So this is the usual design that we have, but as you can see here, this poster, it has lots of references, because sometimes when you go for conferences or even for innovation contests, they have certain specific formats that you need to follow. So for this one, the organizer, they gave us a very specific format. You need to have references, and then you need to have 6 references. So that's why, as you can see here in this poster, it has lots of references, because it's required by the organizer. So the next one I'm going to show you is a project by our students, 2 students, Agnes and Shaza, from baking and pastry. So they did this poster, their project since they are from baking and pastry, they did a project on food. They came up with buns, with some ingredients that they put into the buns. So they presented it at a conference in Keningau, and they won a medal at an innovation contest in KK. So again, when you look at the poster, this poster, it seems to have a lot of criteria, introduction, problem statement, objective, because again, you need to be able to follow the format given by the organizers, and this was the format that the organizer gave us. So sometimes when the organizers provide specific formats, it's important for us to follow it, although it might be different than what we usually do. As you can see here, there's commercialization section, there's usefulness section. So the next slide is a project by our student from welding technology. So Sazali. So Sazali was our first student who presented at an online conference. He presented his PTA, final year project, at an online conference headquartered in Berlin, Germany. So what you are looking at is the screenshot of the presentation through Zoom, but then it's streamed live from Facebook too. So this is how it looks like. So it looks, there's slideshow, and then there's a video of him. He kept popping up there and then explaining his project. So that's a very typical thing to do for online conferences, and it's a pre-recorded video. So questioning strategies. Usually whether it's research, whether it's innovation, whether it's entrepreneurship, we always ask the same questions to our students. Tell me briefly what it is, okay? Because sometimes people when you ask them about what their project is, and they speak for like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and you probably do not really have you still do not have clear idea of what their project is. So the ability to explain your project in a single sentence or in a minute or maybe less than that, that's very important. If you cannot do that, if the students cannot do that, that means they themselves might not still have the clear ideas of what their project is. And then the second question that I put here, what is the problem you are trying to solve? So that's very important, problem. Whenever you come up with an idea, whether it's an innovation, whether you want to do a research, whether you want to do a business, there's always a problem or issue you are trying to solve or resolve. And then why are you doing this project? What's your motivation? What's your objective? If you are like in Keningau, your motivation is to help the local people earn more profits or to highlight the Kadazan Dusun culture. So there's motivation behind it. Okay, and then how do you collect your data? So that seems like a very technical question, data collection. So if it's innovation or entrepreneurship, it's more like market research. But definitely when the students do something, they need to find out what people think about it or whether their ideas work well. So that's data collection. So usually we will provide explanation what data collection means, because it can mean many things. And what did you find out? If they have done the research, if they have collected the data, what did you find out? Do they like your idea? Do they think it's a good idea? Do they tell you anything did they tell you anything how to improve your ideas? And then the next one, what is your future plan? So usually that's a very common question. You have something, you have done it, it's beautiful, it's nice, but what are you going to do next? Okay, what's your future plan? How are you going to improve it? How are you going to go far? How are you going to further develop your ideas? And then the last one, how do you think you can make money out of it? So that's a very common question, especially when you consider entrepreneurship, which our students should be doing. Okay, you have all these excellent ideas. So what are they for? Definitely, at the end of the day, you might need to consider making money out of it. I mean, the students. We try to promote all of these as whole school practices. So thanks to my students and my colleagues, so we try to do poster presentation. Now, whenever we have visitors from other schools especially, so we put up the posters and our students will be doing, like what you can see from this picture, they will be presenting the projects through posters. So it's a nice one. I think it's a nice thing to do because the visitors or the teachers or other students, they can walk around, they can visit any poster or and speak to any of the students who are presenting the posters, and they can share lots of ideas and you help them to become more confident. And then we do something what we call as mini symposium, like what you can see here, the teachers and the students, they are sitting in a room, and then our students or sometimes our teachers are presenting their ideas, like what we usually do in the classroom, but this is not classroom teaching. This is like a mini symposium where different students from different programs as well as teachers present their ideas. And then the last one is innovation exhibition. So as you can see here, the students, they put up their projects on tables, put them on display, and then people come to their booth or to their tables, and then they begin to explain them, begin to demonstrate their projects. So it's more like an innovation. So these are the practices that we would like to promote and spread in our school, and maybe hopefully in other schools and vocational colleges too. So that's about it. It's about, our students, they have amazing ideas, they have amazing projects, they have excellent skills, but we need to find them. So it's about finding the right platforms for the students to be able to present and pitch their ideas, to showcase their ideas. So here again, I would like to emphasize the 3 platforms: research conferences, innovation contests, and entrepreneurship programs. They can be very different, they can be very similar, but surely all 3 of these are very related. So in the end of the day, if our students are capable of doing research and present their research at conferences and maybe publish papers, if they can go for innovation contests or exhibition where they are able to present and demonstrate their ideas or projects, and if they are able to pitch their ideas so that people can invest in their ideas and they can make money out of it. So we are able to produce TVET students who are versatile, they can do many things, they can do anything, ambitious, they are persistent in pursuing their goals, and open-minded, they are willing to learn anything new, they are open to new ideas. We are going to create excellent graduates. And also our students will be able to adapt and reinvent themselves, especially in this industry 4.0 era where things are always rapidly evolving and changing. So our students, they need to be constantly changing, adapting, and evolving. So with that, that's all. Thank you.